So this is the second day on the same topic, arithmetic sequences. Remember, a sequence is just a list of numbers. Arithmetic sequence means that there's a common difference between all the numbers, okay? And we also had to memorize the general rule. This is a picture of the board right here. And the general rule is the a sub nth term will be equal to a sub 1, which is really your first term, plus parenthesis n minus 1 times d, which is a common difference. And you could calculate d on any arithmetic sequence by taking a number, any number, and subtracting the number that's previous, the one right before it. Okay? So these are the notes that we had to memorize yesterday, and now we applied them on yesterday's worksheet WSPM, and of course we have today's worksheet WSP. So same setup. All you got to do is look at your sequence and first, on this first portion, determine if it is arithmetic or not. So in order for it to be arithmetic, you need to have a common difference. Again, to find the common difference, it's going to be a subtraction, but you have to get your two numbers, and what you do is you pick a number and then subtract the one right before it. So if you have 13 minus 21, what do we end up with? 8, right? Negative 8, right? So far, we're assuming that our difference is negative 8. But if I go to this next one, if I go 5, take away 13. 5, take away 13. Is that also negative 8? Yes, so far so great. And for the final check, how about negative 3 minus 5? Let's write that down. Negative 3 minus 5. Is that also negative 8? Yes, so there is a common difference between all terms. So we do say yes, it is arithmetic. Why? Because there's a common difference in all the terms. So let's take a look at number 2. Let's see if there's a common difference here. So just pick a number and subtract the one right before it. Obviously, you're not going to pick negative 5 because you can't subtract the number before it. There is no number before it on the list. So go with 12 minus, let me write that out, 12 minus a negative 5. Change to plus plus, you end up with 17. So far, that's our common difference. Then let's go for 29 and 12. If I go 29, take away 12, do I also get 17? Yes. Okay, and finally, 46. Let me go with the different color here. 46, take away 29. So 46, take away 29. Do we get 17 also? Yes. So all three are common. The common difference is 17. D equals 17. So that's also arithmetic. It's where it's not common, where it's not arithmetic. It's just a sequence. So let's move on. Or do we have any other questions? Should we try number 3 that has a decimal? I don't know. Or not? Yeah. Number 3? So let's go for the common difference here. Let's start with this one and subtract the one right before it. So that's negative 1.1, and I need to subtract the one before it, which is negative 2.2. So the minus minus changes to plus plus. So I really have negative 1 plus negative 1.1 plus 2.2. So the answer is 1.1. So far, that's our common difference right now. Let's see if it is common in all the terms. So if I go to the next one, 0.1, and I subtract negative 1.1, let's write that out. 0.1 minus the negative 1.1. So the minus negative changes to plus plus. So you really have 0.1 plus 1.1, and what do we get? We get 1.2. So is this the same as this? So these guys are not common. So you say, no, it's not arithmetic. Why not? Because there is no common difference. Now down here it says find the next 3 terms of each arithmetic sequence. So pick one. 7? 8? Let's go with 7. Okay, so the first thing to do to state your arithmetic sequence, or to find not to find your arithmetic sequence, but the first thing you should do is to find your common difference. So let's pick a number like 76 and subtract. So you have 76 and subtract the number before it, which is 82. 76 take away 82 is, anybody? Negative 6. Okay. Now, notice that it doesn't say decide if it's arithmetic. They tell you it's arithmetic. Find the next three terms, right? So, just for the sake of getting comfortable with the notation, your a sub 1 term is 82, your second term is 76, your third term is 70, your fourth term is 64, and they want you to find the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh term, which is noted as a sub 5, a sub 6, a sub 7. Okay, so you don't actually have to find the general rule for this arithmetic sequence, even though you could if you wanted to. But right here, since we already know that the common difference, is negative 6, or think of it as decreasing by 6. I mean, that's what's happening, right? 82 decreased by 6 is 76, decreased by 6 is 70, decreased by 6 is 64. Decreased by 6 will be what? 64 take away 6, what is that? 58. And then 58 decreased by 6, 52. And 52 decreased by 6, 46. And there you go, you found your next three terms. This is your answer right here. 58, 52, and 46. So the fifth number is 58, the sixth number is 52, and the seventh number is 46. You could have found the general rule if you wanted to. You could have written an equation that produces the list. As a matter of fact, down here they ask you to write an equation. So down here you have to write an equation. You have to write the general rule. And what do we need to have memorized? We need to have memorized this guy up here on the board. A sub 1 plus n minus 1 in parentheses times the common difference d on the outside. So when you want to write an equation, you need to know that form. So the very first thing to start out with is to find your d, your common difference. So if you pick a number, 13, and subtract the number right before it, what would you get? You'd get 4, right? 13 take away 9. If you write it out, 13 take away 9, that is 4. So your d equals 4. All right, so far so great. And of course, if we wanted to note the numbers, a sub 1 is your first term, a sub 2, and so on, a sub 3. The only one we really need is a sub 1 to plug in right there. And we also need d, we already found that. So now we're able to plug in the a sub 1 and the d to get our a sub n function. So a sub n equals a sub 1, which is what? 9, and then plus parenthesis n minus 1 times the common difference, which we said was 4. So what we have to do here is distribute and combine like terms to make the a sub nth rule look nicer. So we're going to distribute 4 times n, that's 4n. 4 times negative 1, that's negative 4. Bring down the plus, bring down the 9. And of course we could combine like terms. 9 minus 4, that is 5. So what I really have is 4n plus 5, because 9 minus 4 is positive 5. Then I'm just going to put the a sub n equals right in front of it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's your general rule. That's your function that produces the sequence, the arithmetic sequence up here. Let's say you're not too sure about your work. Let's say you're like, I probably got this wrong. You could always verify that you did it right by looking at a sub 1 and knowing it's 9. That would mean that a sub 1 has to equal 9. And a sub 1, that means you need to plug in a 1 right here. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 5, it really is 9. That's right there on the list. With that rationale, if I plugged in the number 3 right here, I should get a sub 3, which is 17. So if I plug in a 3 right here, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 5, it really is 17. So after doing a couple of those, you could feel more confident on your work knowing that you got the right rule. So this is the machine that produces the list. Not only that, that machine will let you find any number, right? You could find the 17th number by plugging in 17, Or you could find the 100th number by plugging in 100. So right here I have my first number, my second number, third number, fourth number. If for some reason I told you find a sub 100, the 100th number, that's actually pretty easy to do. All you have to do is plug in 100 right in here. 4 times 100 is 400. 400 plus 5 is 405. So a sub 100 is really 405. So the 100th number on this list, on this arithmetic sequence, is 405. You guys get it? Yeah. All right, so this will be on the final. Should we do another one or? No? 9. Going back to 9? Ooh, fractions. Okay, so let's find the common difference. So how am I going to set this up, guys? I need to take a number and subtract the number right before it. Now, we already know it's arithmetic because the instructions say it's arithmetic, so we already know there's a common difference. But we want to find that common difference. What is the common difference? Could anybody look at this and just tell me what the common difference is?
Minus 1/4.
Negative 1/4, right? If you go for the easiest numbers to use, that would be 0 minus 1/4. So imagine that, 0 minus 1/4. Well, 0 minus 1/4, that's simply negative 1/4. So that's your common difference, D. I always write it in blue. That's your common difference, D. Okay. So if you know your common now if you would have done like 1/2, take away 3/4, 1/2, take away 3/4, you'd still get the answer negative 1/4, but you'd actually have to work through it. What do I mean by that? You need a common denominator. So let's say I did work through it. You'd have to get the common denominator, which is 4. And you would change the 2 to a 4 by multiplying by 2. And of course, what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So you have 2/4, which is really the same thing as 1/2. And then minus 3/4. And if you go 2/4 minus 3/4, that's really 2 minus 3. That's negative 1, and it's over the common denominator 4. So your answer is really negative 1/4, which we know is already there because we use the easier numbers, 0 minus 1/4. That's easier. So anyways, we know how to get the common difference, 0 minus 1/4. Now, once you know that common difference, if you want to find the next term, all you have to do is decrease it by that 1/4, right? The negative 1/4 is really a decrease of 1/4. So if I am, let's label them just for fun here, a sub 1, that's your first number, a sub 2, a sub 3, a sub 4. If you want your a sub 5 term, your fifth term, what's it going to be? What is 0 take away 1/4? Negative 1/4, piece of cake. Now, a sub 6, that means your sixth term. You have to take this number, negative 1/4, and then what? Decrease it by 1/4. So you're going to go negative 1/4 minus 1/4. Okay, so let's think about that. Negative 1/4 minus 1/4. Do we have a common denominator? Yeah, it's easy, right? So let's actually just subtract the top with the top. So you have negative 1 minus 1. What's negative 1 minus 1? That's negative 2, and it's over 4. And negative 2 over 4 could be reduced to negative 1/2. So your sixth term is really negative 1/2. And now we need to take that negative 1/2 and decrease it by 1/4 one more time to get the a sub 7. A sub 7. So I need to take the negative 1/2 and decrease it by 1/4 one more time. Okay? Now we do not have a common denominator here, so we need a common denominator. I'm going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. That way it'll look like a negative 2/4 minus a 1/4. And now I could actually subtract negative 2/4 minus 1/4, and we get the answer negative 3/4. And that is your seventh term. So if you wanted the next three terms, that's negative 1/4, it's negative 1/2, and then it's negative 3/4. And that would be it right there. We did not have to find the general rule, even though we could have. But that's it. So this will be on the final. I hope you guys finish up this homework. The answers are on the back. Good luck.